Sean Stone is our guest, documentary filmmaker, actor in his own right. Obviously, done a lot of work with his father as well, Oliver Stone. We've got the man. I tell you, since I was a teenager watching They Live, I wanted to get Roddy Piper on, and he's going to be coming on the show, I don't know, for 30, 45 minutes coming up in the next hour. And I promise we'll get to the active duty and former military, Steve and John and Will and Mike and Jeff and everybody else that's on here. We're going to get to you, especially coming up in the next segment or so. Yeah, because we'll get Piper on at 8 after, because some stations join us then. So he'll be on with us at the second segment of the next hour. But going back to Sean Stone, you know, that same question, looking at World War III and how crazy the establishment is, obviously the people above Obama know this is very dangerous. Why then are they pushing for this?
To my understanding of it, it's more of a, it's like basically the casino is cashed out and they have to now decide the best way to evacuate. You know, how do you basically, the point is that we know the financial system is still, you know, a fraud, and it's still in chaos fundamentally. You know, there's no stability in this.
So a big war is a way to burn down the casino.
Essentially, I mean, I would say I think it's somewhere between that. There's the mystical element of, you know, the biblical concept of apocalypse, and, you know, the idea that we have to have some kind of world war for revelation to occur. I mean, I think there's a lot of different mentalities involved. The idea of Nibiru, the planet X, right, is returning, and this is part of like the end times. So if you formulate all these things together, then yes, it looks like, okay, then World War III is inevitable. But my thinking is that it's not actually inevitable, that we can return gradually to a republic. I don't think that going back to the republic is going to be an easy thing for the United States to do, because we've gone so far towards this imperial system of military empire, towards the idea of the, you know, the national security state, total warfare at all times, constant fear of terrorism. But I believe that if we can stop at least this war from occurring, we can step by step gradually bring us back towards where we were, which is a republic that's, you know, that's secure within its sense of self, that doesn't need to extend out with it, you know, with the British imperial policy of forcing free trade upon countries. You know, we need to go towards the next form of energy. I think oil is still a major factor in all of this. We need to go beyond oil. We know now cold fusion is realistic and possible. The Andrea Rossi experiments were even reported about in Forbes magazine, that he achieved 4 times the power of oil generated that oil generates through his machine. So I mean, you're talking between fission, fusion processes. We have to get beyond this oil thing, and then already you're going to see our attention is going to shift away from the Middle East and these wars there, which are really natural gas and oil based as far as the economy is concerned.
And they're trying to shift into Asia. I just see the globalists above all the nations playing them off against each other, and I know that's, you know, really a simplistic way to put it, but that's what globalism is. Mm-hmm. I just think spiritually the controllers are blind, because they know how to manipulate reality, but they don't understand. You know, they have knowledge to manipulate it, but they don't look 20 steps down how it's going to affect their own progeny. And they think that they are immune from all the sins they commit against humanity, when all common sense and knowledge shows it will all come back on them.
Well, you know, it's a very interesting discussion. Again, this gets more to the spiritual side of things. As far as from people I've seen within the families, let's say, oftentimes the kids who are born to these satanic cults and whatnot, because that's really what we're talking about at the highest level, is that essentially it's a form of Satanism and ego worship. And the ego worship would basically, like the classic Greek myths, the father would eat his own son, right? The kids will be sacrificed for the sake of the family, for the ruler, for the father not willing to sacrifice his position. And that's maybe what you're looking at.
Yeah, no, that's like the emperor wanting to kill Darth Vader at the end. It's like always killing the next generation, the oligarch view. We're going to come back 5 more minutes with you, and then you're going to ride shotgun with Roddy Piper coming up. I'm really excited about this.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. INFOWARS.com. Yeah.
Judge, what is the secret of the universe?
INFOWARS.com.
Sean Stone, director, researcher, talk show host, is our guest. I will get to all the people that are holding. If you can't hold, that's fine. You can hang up. I won't get mad at you. But I want to hear from active duty or former military about the open funding of al-Qaeda and what your take is on that. But Sean, I know that you went to some of the most elite universities. You've been around the Hollywood elite big time. Your dad obviously being Oliver Stone. You yourself, is it something like 30 movies you've been in? A lot of them, some of the biggest out there. When you talk about satanic cults, and you know, not in your family, but stuff you've seen, and you talk about this Illuminati, you know, I mean, I know you've told me stuff off record that, you were just getting into all that. What can you tell people about Hollywood and the government, and what percentage of them would you say are practicing Illuminati Satanist?
Well, honestly, Alex, this has been kind of a lifetime's endeavor of constantly, deepening my knowledge and trying to understand better. Because, as you know, oftentimes when you talk to people who have been through very terrible things as children, whether it be satanic ritual abuse, for example, sexual abuse, things like this, it's hard to know at what level they've been traumatized, and they're, at what point are they fictionalizing or fantasizing things, and at what level are they real? So as you know, it's a long discussion. It's a very difficult thing to get into. My belief, though, fundamentally is, look, I was watching the Keeping Up with the Kardashians last night because I've never seen the show, and I'm just curious to know why a satanic family like that is being put on the air so blatantly. Because if you think about it, that's what it is. How to have kids, or not kids, but adults, talking so openly and blatantly about sex in front of their mother. But I guess, the point is the mother herself, as far as I'm told, actually filmed Kim Kardashian, her daughter, having sex with this guy. And that porn video was filmed by the mother. And you start to think, wait, isn't that what Satanism really is? Isn't it that exploitation of your own children? Isn't it the idea of being able to have no limitations, have no boundaries, as far as making money and profiting off of your loved ones, or especially your children? I mean, isn't that the worst crime of all?
Yeah, no, it's about betrayal, and I see that spirit actually growing in the world, but also the spirit of good is growing. For every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction, where people get into betraying you, even though it's not even good for them in business. They can't help it.
Right, because there's a cycle, and you have to keep feeding, and that's I think where America is at that kind of point where we've been feeding on other countries, we've been feeding on the third world. We have no, that imperial demon that was really from the British. I did an interview on Buzzsaw with Douglas Dietrich, who was a guy who worked with Michael Aquino, the very famous satanic colonel in the military. He was the head of the Temple of Set, right?
Yeah, Army PSYOPs commander was an open Satanist, yeah.
Yes, and there were all kinds of allegations against him and charges against him for sexually abusing satanically children at the Presidio Army base, right, in San Francisco. And Dietrich was worked with Aquino, and he claims that he in fact, Aquino was in fact involved in that ring and satanic abuse of children. And he said, and Dietrich said to me that Aquino told him that the British Empire had unleashed certain demons in the course of John Dee's reign with Queen Elizabeth. John Dee was one of the top counselors to Queen Elizabeth, really the originator of the British intelligence services of the modern era. Dee, as we know, and and his partner Kelly were very involved in magic rituals and practices. These guys, Aquino and whatnot, the satanic crew now, said that they unleashed demons on the British Empire, for the British Empire to expand, to make deals with these demons, basically for the British Empire to have its power and technology. And as a result, the Americans now are using those same demons and trying to keep feeding them with more wars and more blood in order to maintain their power and control.
So whether that's in reality true or not, these people believe they're being given basically extraterrestrial, beyond human advanced intelligence advice.
And that goes back to the Book of Enoch. If you look at it.
Sure, the whole Bible's about that.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at INFOWARS.com/show.